6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
International superstar, Miss Butter B.
You are now tuned in to Butter B Rocker on Transparency Talks Podcast.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Transparency Talks Podcast. I am your girl, the hostess with the mostest, Miss Butter B Rocker. Man, it's a beautiful day. I mean, it's raining outside, but it's still a beautiful day because we are on this side. You know, you get it. Anywho, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to Transparency Talks Podcast. We have a amazing show for you today. But before I bring on our special guest, I gotta pay these bills. So let me holler. Let me do that real quick.
Making perfect spice choices for healthy food is important to manage chronic diseases. We have focused on a specific line of spices that can really fit your diabetic lifestyle. Our spice flavors are a game changer. We have created unique blends of all-purpose seasonings that are salt-free, gluten-free, with no additives and preservatives, great for chronic conditions like high blood pressure, obesity, and heart disease. These spices contain antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal properties, and improve digestive function and metabolism. Choose diabetic cuisine spices for your family to feel more safe, confident, and support healthy aging.
All right. So this was sponsored by Diabetic Cuisine Spices, and it's also sponsored by Mama Yaya's. You can go to mamayayas.com and order your banana pudding today. So there's so many things going on. First of all, we had our premiere recently, which this young man was a part of. Our next film submissions are open right now through February 5th. So if you got a short film that's 20 minutes or less, you can go to filmfreeway.com/BBR Indie Films and submit your film today. If you would like to become a sponsor of the show, you can contact us at info@O.Robinson PR Media Group. I'll make sure we'll put all the information down at the bottom. But without further ado, y'all didn't come here to see me. Y'all came to see the man of the 30 minutes. I can't say of the hour because it's 30 minutes. He is an award-winning writer and director. Can you please give a warm welcome to Brent Duncan?
Hello.
How are you?
I am so good today.
Good. Is it raining on your side too? Because it's raining hard.
It's a drizzle. You know,
it's a drizzle.
Yeah.
It's not a drizzle here.
Oh, really? Well, it's coming my way, I'm sure.
It's definitely coming your way. So, Brent, I like to dive right on in. Can you tell? You smile. Your smile is making me smile, by the way.
You make me happy.
Oh, I love that, Brent. So can you tell everybody a little bit of background about yourself?
My name is Brent Duncan. I work in television and film for many years. I came up as an actor on stage and did theater. I got my first commercial when I was about 27 years old, and I thought, TV commercial. But it paid a lot, and I was more impressed than I thought. But I eventually went to film school. I had several other commercials going as a grown up, and learned the behind the scenes stuff, which I was very interested in. I wanted to be the first AD because that was the guy on set that I thought knew everything, and I became a first AD. Just worked my way up from the bottom, fetching coffee, getting screamed at, all the good stuff that happens to production assistants, and then, now I kind of put the first idea aside, except for low budget indie films. I will first AD for sure, but I'm looking at doing all my own stuff these days.
That is amazing, and yeah, people don't need to sleep on the commercials because one commercial has put my son through 3 years of college. One
There you
commercial.
go. There you
So,
go.
and 2 cars paid. I'm not mad at commercials
Not
at
right. That's not right.
So, what inspires your stories that you tell?
I think something that's really painful when I'm talking to friends, or something that I remember from my, from my life experience that's painful. It makes me think, okay, that there's, I don't know why, but I find humor in that. I kind of grew up that way. My mom and I and my siblings, we kind of teased each other, and we're joking a lot. My grandfather was a really good jokester. My uncle was. So we kind of had that element in our thought process growing up, and so I go there right away. It's comforting to me to find the silliness in our tragic pain.
That's a different twist, but you're laughing at your pain. It's kind of like how comedians do. They'll laugh at their pain and talk about things that are serious, but they'll put it in a joking manner. But it is a serious topic.
Absolutely. And so one of the best, of course, was Charlie Chaplin. You watch him slip and fall, and of course, someone is supposedly slipping and falling and hurting themselves. But it's funny the way he expressed. He was a very painful comedian. All of his films were about something painful. Whether he was so poor he had to eat his own shoes, to he was in a blizzard. He had a horrible relationship. All these things that he did in his comic. Physical comedy, because in those days there were no words except on the screen. That was brilliant stuff, and I learned a lot from those guys.
Okay, so in your projects, do you allow for organic moments to emerging filming? I'm sorry, actors, or is it a tightly scripted, situation?
It's both. It's tightly scripted. And I learned this from organizing as a first AD. You got to have that tight organization, and then you got to allow for the creative process to happen. Yeah. Without that tight script, then the rest of it can't really happen very easily. But yeah, I put it in there tight. I test the rhythms. I listen to it myself, and then we do table reads, all that stuff. And then when we're doing the table reads, it's usually when the talent comes and says, you know what, I kind of feeling this. I say, go for it. And then when we're on set, sometimes they get inspired and say, you know what, this would be funny. Like, oh, let's try it. And it almost, I would say 75% of the time we use that one.
Yeah, because it's more organic to how they would speak and everything.
It is, and it's organic to the moment too. There's something about tapping into the universe at that exact moment and time is where all the knowledge of the universe exists right there. If we could do that all the time, we would all be geniuses. But it's just every once in a while we get that window that opens. You gotta grab it.
Right. So what's your writing process like? Do you write detailed outlines or just jump right into your scenes?
I do detail outlines. I like right now I have a project going in my office, and I've got a big board, and I've got photographs because it's supposed to happen in the 1990s. And I got photos of me and my friends, what we were doing in the 90s to kind of help me. Then I write the most important thing I think is the moral argument. In other words, the way I think the world should be, which is the right of any writer or director to put that in there. And if it's not there, I think it's a weak story. But that's another thing. But I start with that moral premise and then build on that. And I find a hero or that has a weakness, and I expound on that weakness, and then I find a villain who has the same kind of desire, but is so strong against that hero that exposes all that hero's weaknesses, and then I go from there.
Gotcha. Okay. So, what has been some of your biggest challenges you faced as a director?
Location is events. I think that's the way it is with all filmmakers. You plan, especially in Atlanta, you plan an outdoor shoot, and they say, oh, we are watching the weather every day, and you're like, okay, it's going to be sunny and beautiful and everything, and then that day shows up and it's pouring down rain or windy and trees are falling on people. That's the biggest challenge of shooting in Atlanta. Now, if you're inside in a studio or on location inside, then it's kind of okay. But still, a storm can throw the power out. It's the unpredictable weather any place, I guess, is the general enemy of filmmaking.
Yep, definitely. One of my shoots was outside at a park, and I didn't know that the sun moves. I didn't know, and so apparently this sun kept moving every time they was setting up. The sun would move, and I mean, it was just so many different elements that I didn't think about, the low lights and highlights, and I'm like, huh? Who knew? So yeah, it's definitely tough. Okay. You premiered your film at BBR Indie Film Screening. Can you tell us about that experience?
That was so fun. I mean, top notch, by the way. Your team ran an incredible event. I felt like I was at the Academy Awards.
Wonderful.
It was a big deal. I walked in. I've been to events, and I've been to some really good events, some really top events. But this one was awesome. I felt like I kind of felt like a celebrity, walking around and getting interviewed. But then the screening process was so well organized, and so it just popped. Not a lot of. I don't want to put anybody down, but sometimes there's long-winded speeches that happen, and the audience is going, "Come on, show the movie." But with this one, you guys just went right on. And then the dialogue with the directors and the actors and the people that were involved in the films went really well, very quickly. The audience was very receptive. I love screening a comedy that my team has worked on, because it's there's nothing better than seeing people laugh at the stuff they're supposed to and then laugh at the stuff that you weren't sure if they were or not, right?
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Yeah, definitely. What did you find most valuable about having your film showcased at BBR?
The people I met some really cool people that they're out there. There's tons of talented people in Atlanta. And every time I go to an event, I meet at least one or two people that I need to follow up with. I need to call that lady, or I need to call that man. And I probably met a dozen people there and sat down and had plenty of time to have conversations, and we got each other's contact numbers. I've talked to them. I've even helped one of them find a location just recently. That's part of the indie spirit, is that we don't have millions and millions of dollars. We have each other, and that's how we solve our problems, is by using the resources, human resource. There's a lot of value in each human being that's a resource to each of us as filmmakers, and the more we tap into everyone we know, the more value we raise ourselves and our whole company up by those contacts and by those conversations that we had.
That's good. That's some good stuff, and I'm glad you made some connections. That's one of the big takeaways that a lot of people from we've had it now twice, that a lot of people are saying, is that our screening, they are able to really connect directly with the right people and everything, and it's been able to help them. It's been several deals that's happened, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool to know, that I had a little piece of it.
More than that.
So yeah, it's cool. So is it safe to say you would recommend BBR to other filmmakers?
Oh yes, I've already have. I've like on when I'm online or somebody says I see that that you promoted this BBR event. How did it go? I'm like, oh man, it was fantastic. You got to go to the next one. You got to be in this because I think especially if you're new to Atlanta, or if you're new to the film scene, or maybe your film is good but it hasn't gotten a lot of exposure. That happens, just get it to this lady here.
Now, have you screened your film in a movie theater before?
Don't Shoot was in about 7 festivals. It won something in each one. We got one poster that's just covered with all the different little awards. Usually it's an audience audience choice type award, I think, is what we got most of. The festival circuit with this particular movie because of the material and the satire, it was very revealing about our society, and I kind of expected it, but it was very blatant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far you want me to go with that, but
I do want you to tell people about your film.
Okay. Well, Don't Shoot is in 2018. There was kind of a lull in the film industry in January, February, and we're trying to figure out something to shoot in March for my friend Dee Killian, who's a very funny actor, and he didn't have anything really funny on his reel. And so I said, well, let's just shoot something. I had a couple of guys that I had been training as PAs, and Andrew Crane and Caleb Bootke and Mateus. I always say his name wrong. Centurion, I think. Anyway, so it was kind of a team exercise, so they could get some experience. I brought in a really pretty good camera operator, Justin Kuhn, who had his own really nice camera set up, so we didn't have to use mine. But we set it up in the front yard and did it. But the idea came from at that time. This is before George Floyd. That the chance that we're going around with young people that were protesting was hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. Mm-hmm. And so I took that second part of it, and then when I talked to Dee, he like many of my friends that are black friends, that people that grew up black, okay, this period, their fathers usually, or mothers, or grandfathers or grandmothers, had to sit them down when they were learning to drive and teach them how to get pulled over. Now that didn't happen to me. I didn't have that experience. And every time from the time I was a kid hearing that story to now, it has not changed. It is still the same. If sometimes worse, depending on where you are, I suppose. But to make fun of that was going to be a challenge. I knew. So I was doodling about how to do it, and then then the news came on, and there was some guy in Texas, which I'm from Texas. I grew up there, I have to say. I think I probably went to school with this guy because he sounds like some people that I know. He was arrested for pulling teenagers over, pretending to be a cop at night and taking their weed and leaving. And I thought that was hilarious. So we went with that.
It was a good film. You had everybody in the audience rolling, cracking up, laughing at it and everything. So it definitely did what it was supposed to do. And it's a very good conversational piece, because it definitely is going to spark dialogue, within the film and everything. So I thought it was really good.
I liked how the audience got it. I liked how people were anticipating. There were, people like going, "Get your weed back," and people were going, stay on the ground, or don't do that, or don't take your hands off the wheel, stuff like that. And it just and then the laughs were so overwhelmingly loud in that I was sometimes concerned that okay, they might miss the next line, but they didn't. Nobody missed any line. Nobody missed any punchline at all, and it worked out really well. And then I think the audience settled into the fact that, and it's Dee's line where he says, "I was scared of you, now you're scared of me," because that turnaround happens. And that's the point we were trying to make. That's that moral argument that starts the screenplay, is that's where it comes from. A little boy who is afraid of the dark will learn to hate the dark. That's just it. You'll a little girl who fears men, will learn to hate men. No problem. It's a real short thing. But when we pulled it apart and we mixed it all up and threw it into a comic situation and then labeled it, and this is what this is. I think it was really clear, and I agree. I think I would love for, especially Black History Month coming up, I would love to donate the use of this to any school or to start that kind of conversation.
I can see that.
It's about, yeah.
I could definitely see that. So, what advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers that are trying to get into the industry?
It depends on what you're doing. If you're a writer, just write everything. Write down, like my mother told me. She made me write when I was a kid. She said, write down something every day, even if it's I hate to write, and my mom is crazy for making me do this. Write that, which I think I did once. But keep a journal. Read a lot. Read other people's work. Read nonfiction work. Take courses in writing. If you want to be a director, take art courses especially in the classic arts, because that's all about lighting and how the artists were able to capture light in the paint, because that's how you're telling the story. You're telling the story with the images. The dialogue is important, and the things people say is important, but we are more tuned in to before anybody had language. We knew when the tiger was coming, right? Or we knew when the enemy was coming by how everybody reacted. Right. So the physical body stuff of an actor is important to learn. Also, if you're a filmmaker, take an acting class. I could go on and on, but those are the three top ones. Read a lot, write something down all the time. Oh, there's 4. I miscounted. I can't count. Don't do math. Don't worry about math. And take art classes if you and learn about them. Learn how the masters and why they did what they did.
Mm-hmm. Those are some solid advices. What do you think is the biggest challenge and opportunities facing modern filmmakers?
It's always going to be the money. Right now, I think there's a nice break for indie film because of the strikes and what the strike revealed about the studios and who they are. I mean, they are rich white men sitting in a room making decisions for the rest of what we're going to see. And not only is it not fair, but that's the way it's been forever. That's how it started. We have very few people break through that. Like Tyler Perry was a big bust through that. I mean, he kicked the door down, and Oprah Winfrey was a kick the door down kind of woman. We need more of that, but it's so hard. And anytime we're looking to have to bow down and say, please give me money because this is important, this is great, we sacrifice a little bit of ourselves, and then a little bit of it goes away. And I like the idea of indie films when it first really started taking off in the 1990s, or actually in the 80s, and it's built quite a bit. I encourage filmmakers to go to people and be honest and say, look, the chances are this movie is not going to make any money, but do it because you love the message, or do it because you love movies, or do it because, whatever reason it is. But help business people, help filmmakers make movies that speak to what your brand is, right? If you're an attorney and you defend people that and you see a certain weakness in the system, and a filmmaker comes to you and says, hey, can you help me raise some money? Help them, because that's it helps what you stand for, right? If you own a bakery and a filmmaker comes to you and says, hey, I'm making this movie about this guy who has a hard time in life and his wife and all this, but they own a bakery. Can we use your bakery? And if you like that, if you like what they're doing, make a deal. Make a deal where they can use your bakery. Community involvement is part of the storytelling process. Without the community helping us all out as indie filmmakers, we wouldn't be able to do it. Especially in a saturated market like Atlanta, where there's humongous companies everywhere paying you tens of thousands of dollars to rent your home for a couple of days. And an indie filmmaker goes, well, I got $250.
Right.
And we'll leave it clean, but it's just not nearly as appealing. But give them a chance, give them a shot. That's what
I like that, Brent. I like that a lot. What are some of your proudest achievements as a filmmaker?
Oh boy, I made this. Speaking of lawyers, there was a friend of mine that I'll was going to law school when I was going to film school. He was much younger, but he's got a really successful law firm in Dallas, Texas. And in 2021, we were talking about what is going on here with all these big corporations making money off of COVID. And he said, I'll give you a good example. Now he's not he's a trial lawyer. He's not a personal injury lawyer, but he knows that stuff. He said, did you get a discount on your car insurance during this last year of COVID when no one was driving? I was like, no, wait a minute. I was mad. And then so we started talking about more. He said, I could give you so much. I said, you want to tell that story? You want to finance that story? He said, yes, let's do it. So we did. We made a little 4-part mini-series for his YouTube, for his law firm. And it was a blast. We made fun of everybody. We called the insurance company Snake Farm. We made this attorney, a young attorney who just graduated. We had all white men in the cast except for 2 people. One was the injured woman, and the other one was her doctor. Those were both people of color. And Gwen Hudson was our actress in that. She's one of the, I don't know if you've ever seen, she does theater in the Atlanta area. She's one of the funniest. She didn't act until she retired, and she's like, I don't know, Lucille Ball. I can't think of anybody funnier, but Gwen is hilarious. And so we gave her a ridiculous. We went ridiculous on everything. Her injury was ridiculous. She had the windshield wiper of a truck stuck through her head, and of course the insurance lawyers were going, "Oh, she's fine," But it was fun and silly, and it wasn't supposed to do anything but kind of be posted on be informative for his clients. But it won about 12 film festival awards, and then it won a Marcom award, which is marketing and communications. It won a video award, which is all visual stuff, the YouTube mostly. And then it won a telly, which is, wow. I was like, a telly is big. And just, I don't know, I was so proud, not necessarily of me, of all the people who did it, because they didn't know what they were working on, something that was going to get that much attention. It was just, it was fun and everybody enjoyed it. But the actors, the cast, every single crew member just put everything they had into this little, silly, fun project. And it had legs. It went. I'm real proud of that. I'm real proud of how we pulled that together. I like that.
You got to send me the link of that. I want to see it.
Okay. Yeah. It's called The Winners. It's so silly. Oh my God. It's so silly.
So would you recommend to people going the film festival route? I didn't personally go to film festival route. I went straight to streaming platforms and everything. Well, I ended up getting, after I premiered my film at Studio Movie Girl, I ended up getting 6 distribution offers. But I had looked into doing the festival side of it first, but it costs a lot of money to submit your stuff to all those different ones. And then I was overwhelmed because trying to figure out which ones are good ones to do. And I believe if you're going to submit, you should be there because you want to be, and if they're going to premiere your stuff, you need to be there in the action so that you can really make the connections and everything.
I think that's exactly right. The forewalling is what you do, or what you've been doing is, what we call it, when you just put your movie in a theater and invite people to come, and you're really very independent that way. You control everything, and I think that's one of the best ways to premiere. Now, but you're right in the second way is that the film festival circuit is extremely competitive. It's like everything else. It's cliquish. It's you have to appeal to the right group of people. You have to really do your research. There were some, I don't want to be racial here, but the comedy in The Winners was so, because we were showing some blatant racism that was going on. There was a group of white people that just didn't get it, and they were afraid of it. They were afraid to laugh at this stuff. where like at Jackson, Mississippi, that great film festival, it was packed house. Everyone was cracking up laughing. And I looked around, and it's mostly a black audience, except for me and Gwen. I mean, Gwen is black, of course, but me, I was like I don't know, but it's a strange thing. All festivals are strange things, and also I did not enter into anything that I couldn't drive to, that I couldn't get to.
That makes sense,
because I wanted to be there, and I wanted to take Gwen because she, that was the first festival she'd ever been to, and we won best comedy, and so she got to go up there on that. We were all dressed up, all decked out. It was fun. It was a fun event. But yeah, that I would say do both. Full walling is in your control. Do that, and then also always invite critics. Always invite someone from the papers. Invite people that have podcasts that do critics. But then dabble in don't put too much money into it, but put it out there. Put it out there in the festival circuit, and don't try for the big ones unless you've got a big star and you've got a big budget. It's just unlikely to happen. Don't think you're going to make a Sundance film with your iPhone. It's just not likely. It might. Who knows? I don't want to discourage anyone, but it's just know where you are, know how big you are, and know your audience too. Know where you're gonna find people.
Definitely some solid information. So what are you currently working on, and how can people find you?
Oh Lord, I'm a gay man. I've been with my partner since 1985. We were allowed to get married in 2015. Probably watching the way activism changed the way people saw people like me. It changed because of films and Tom Hanks playing an AIDS patient in huge hit, and Will and Grace and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. All these TV shows that were getting popular with my straight friends kind of broke down some barriers there. Not everywhere, but it helped. And so by 2015, when we were able to get married, we did. So I said all that to say I've started a LGBTQ plus nonprofit film group to help people in our industry, to help film directors, writers, cinematographers, grips, composers, anyone that falls within the LGBTQ plus spectrum to participate and get a leg up. Like if you're a trans man and you've been the assistant camera for 15 years, and you can be a cinematographer, a director of photography, then come on with us, and that's where we'll put you, because we know you got it too, right? And it's I don't know, it's doing a nonprofit is hard. I've done one before. It's fun once it gets going, but getting it off the ground can be tough. But I encourage people to, if you know someone in that spectrum, please let them know that we have Out Proud Films. There's a Facebook group. You can join us while we're still filing our stuff through the IRS to get our nonprofit status. And that's the other thing is a independent filmmaker. I'm already telling people, if you give me your money, chances are you're gonna lose it. Now that's not always been true. So sometimes they do make some, but if it's a nonprofit, you don't have to worry about that. You just say, would you like to donate? Write this off. Right. Would your company like to donate this? Or can we do a commercial as an organization for another nonprofit, right? A shelter for teens, something like that. So we're sort of all of that and more. I'm writing a short, and I'm writing a feature based on that short, and then I'm working with some of the nonprofits, especially the LGBTQ plus history groups here in Atlanta. Atlanta was a big deal in the 70s, 80s, 90s. A lot of young people don't know that history. Some of the really famous people that live here and are still alive and kicking, that were doing really cool things at 20 years old,
Awesome.
I mean, we look at people like John Lewis, you know, he was 20 years old, making a stand, getting beat. And what was I doing at 20 years old? I was probably drunk somewhere, you know, at a party. I don't know. But it's inspiring to have to see young people tap into something, and that's what we're hoping to do here also, is leave a legacy for others.
Good. Okay, so how can people find you?
Well, Brent Duncan Stories is the company that my for-profit company that I work with, and Out Proud Films is the new nonprofit that is getting started. So you can find us either way. But you Google Brent B. Duncan, and I'm the guy that comes up. There's a lot of Brent Duncan in the world, but Brent B. Duncan is me.
There's only one Brent B. Duncan.
The only Brent B. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for being a part of Transparency Talks podcast. I am positive that my audience got a lot of great insight from you. So thank you so much for being a part.
It was great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, everybody, we are out of here, and we will talk to you guys later. Peace.